Welcome back to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and today we're here to break down and preview the 3-4 Rams and the 4-2 Cowboys. And joining me, as always, is Gilbert Manzano, NFL staff writer for Sports Illustrated. Gilbert, the Rams get another team coming off a bye and another prestige franchise that they got to go up against. How are you looking at this matchup?
Yeah, well, first of all, congrats to the McVay family. The baby has arrived. So Sean McVay did not lie to us. The baby did not interfere with a game. So here we are, Rams versus Cowboys. It's a pretty good matchup. I know last week I called the Steelers matchup a little boring, but the Steelers prevailed and pulled that one out. So maybe I shouldn't call the Cowboys boring, but they're not. They're always very entertaining for good or bad reasons. So we'll see, but it's a tough break, Victor, like you mentioned. Catching the Cowboys after a bye week, especially after a win, they beat the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, so the Cowboys are feeling really good. The Rams are not feeling good right now after losing to the Steelers, a game they probably should have won. Yeah, we could cry about the officials and saying, "Oh, they missed that one and missed that one." But, point blank, just being real. The Rams offense has not been great, so when you go to Dallas, you better put up some points.
No, and you're right on. But before we get to all that, Gilbert, we get into the nitty gritty of this matchup. We have plenty to cover for this game preview between, as we said, the Rams and Cowboys. Um, we have the latest news and notes, plus player matchups to watch, storylines for both teams, keys to the game, and of course, our game predictions, Gilbert. But let's get to what else we have going on the Compas on the Beat network. What can viewers and listeners check out that we have going on, Gilbert?
Yeah, definitely check out the main channel, Compas on the Beat, YouTube, and we've already been collabing with the main channel and House of Horns. And if you see videos about our I guess our Sunday reaction to Monday, what I'm trying to say is whatever week it is, like week 7 of the NFL, our takeaways are going to come out on Monday live, and then whatever week we're going to go to, that video comes out on Thursday. So you're probably noticing, okay, what are these random people doing on Monday and on Thursday? Well, that's our main channel. We're talking about the entire NFL. So we've seen a couple people from House of Horns jump in the
Yep.
comments. We do like that. So whenever you see a live from Compas on the Beat on House of Horns, jump in the comments. It's okay. Talk NFL. Don't be shy. I know it's not a lot of Rams, but it's all football. We're all fans of football. So get in the comments there. And yeah, definitely check out what we do on that channel. And like we always say, if you're interested in Chargers, maybe not so much, check out What's Up Bolts with Fernando and Dan and Diego.
There you go. Um, I just want to take the time right here, Gilbert, just to give a shout out to all our new subscribers and the people who've been writing with us now for a year plus. Just want to say thank you. We're at 790 subscribers. We're getting
690,
there.
but I wish we were there.
690. Sorry, got ahead of myself there, Gilbert. But
That'd be
just
nice.
want to say thank you to you guys and shout out. Continue to give us your comments. But Gilbert, talking about that, you have an engagement question for our viewers or listeners.
Yeah, that actually reminds me a little TBT House of Horns. One of our first videos that did really well was when the Rams were engaging in trade talks with Christian McCaffrey. You remember it was a battle between the 49ers and the Rams for Christian McCaffrey. Unfortunately, the Rams did not get CMC, but they're doing okay with Kyron Williams when he's healthy. But I'm going off topic, but that just reminds me that last year before the trade deadline, the Rams were still the aggressive Rams. They were trying to get Brian Burns. They're trying to get Christian McCaffrey. They came up short because they ran out of draft picks. They had no more assets, no more capital to give away. So we all saw what happened with the Rams. They're trying to be different, keep draft picks, build young, and try something new. So that makes me wonder. They're 3-4 right now, and they're kind of in the race for the wild card. That 7 seed is still available. Hey, even the NFC West is available because the 49ers are on a 2-game losing streak. So here is the engagement question of the week. Should the Rams be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? You want to see this team go back to the old ways and be aggressive and trade for maybe a running back, a Saquon Barkley or a Derrick Henry? go back and get Brian Burns. Maybe Daniel Hunter might still be available, even though the Vikings are winning. Do you want to see his team get aggressive, or maybe be say sellers because you know what, they're 3-4, they're not really a good team. Want to get more assets, keep building this roster, or you can even say stand pat, do nothing, just play it out with what you have on the roster and see what happens because you want to keep that first round pick. So get in the comments. Let me know should the Rams be buyers or sellers or just do nothing ahead of the October 31st Halloween trade deadline this year.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some edge rushers out there if they want to go and get somebody, maybe a Chase Young or
Yeah.
someone like that. You can get them for a second or third round pick, but
Montez Sweat too.
but yeah, Montez Sweat. So I mean, there's also that. You got one more thing here. I know people have been, interested to see what it is that we got for as our giveaway. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, guys. As I said, we're at 690. Thank you for all the support, but we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So we want to make sure that you guys are also get something in return for helping us out to get to 1,000. But what do you have for people? We're gonna finally let people know what it is that we have for them, Gilbert.
Yeah, you've been watching the last two preview episodes, and just been watching the content on the channel. We've been hinting at a giveaway, jersey giveaway for a Rams player. So it's time to make it official. We're gonna give away a Puka Nacua rookie sensation from BYU, a Puka Nacua Rams jersey, a giveaway here at House of Horns, and we're doing this because we want to get to 1,000 subscribers on the channel. We also want to show support in return for the support you're giving the channel here at House of Horn. So uh, bear with me. It's going to be kind of some lengthy rules because I'm trying to figure out a way to make it exclusive to people who support the channel. But we're also trying to be in a hurry to get to 1,000 subscribers. So Vic, if it sounds confusing, ask me questions. Maybe I can help out people. But the main thing is I like what we're doing with the keywords. People are watching the show. They're looking to see, okay, when is it going to drop? People caught the Baby McVay or the Puka ROY or House of Horns. So stay tuned. We're still going to be doing that. So eventually we'll give you the keywords. But this time it's just one entry into the jersey giveaway. Before it was two. That's why if you jumped on early, you're in a good spot. But do that. Wait for the keyword, and then I'm trying to see what else I was trying to do. Oh, yeah, there you go. The email. I feel like people might be copying the keywords and not watching the actual episode. So if you want to get an extra entry to the jersey giveaway, get my email right here, and then and send me an email with the time that we say the keyword. That way, no one's seeing in the comments. Oh, here's the time that you're dropping it. So that'd be an extra entry. That'd be two. So Vic, any questions that you feel like I'm not sharing for this giveaway?
No, I'll just say for those who are listening on our podcast, it's Gilberto,
Gotcha.
Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. So make sure you check that out. If not, go
Good
and
point.
check the YouTube channel. We have it on as one of our banners right now at the at the 8 minute and 20-second mark. So check it out. If you're interested, please give the keywords. Like I said, we're trying to give away this jersey. One more thing that I do have a question for is how are you going to let people know what size they need? Do they need to tell you, hey, Gilbert, like for my entry, I want an XL, a large, a 2X for their
Yeah.
jersey?
Or even the color too, what type of jersey, and also keep
Yeah.
in mind that so these Puka Nacua jerseys are rare. So hopefully by the time we're done with the giveaway, hopefully it's soon. We got to get our hands on one of these, so we try to figure out a way to get one. But yeah, those are good questions: size, color, type of jersey. Uh, get my email there, and I'm glad you kept the listeners, the audio people involved. 'Cause I totally forgot we're not just YouTube, we're also on Spotify and Apple. So definitely write down the email Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. So once we pick out a winner, just send. We'll be in contact email wise, and we will figure out all the details. But again, I want to make it just more for the channel here. But another way to kind of get another entry. So a quick rundown: keywords. You comment with the keywords in the video. That's one entry, and then an extra one if you send me an email with the time you heard the keywords, and then I'll give you 5 more entries if you somehow send me an email showing me proof that you got like friends and coworkers or whatever it is, like to subscribe to the channel. Be like, hey, Gilbert, I'm about to send you, I'm going to send you an email right now, but check for 10 more subscribers to go up right now. Those are my 10. Hey, you somehow show me proof or just tell me, hey, heads up, you're about to get, or you just got 4 or 5 new subscribers. I'm going to count it as proof. You send me an email and the subscribers are going up, I will give you 5. So you're putting in extra work. And remember, if we get to 1,000 faster, that means that there's less people in the entry here. So I kind of want to do some kind of team effort here to get us to 1,000, but also in return, show love to supporters. And we'll do a post on the channel on the community section here about the giveaway, but we're not going to do it on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram. It's going to be all advertised here on House of Horns, and spread the word. We would love it and appreciate that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because we want to make sure that it goes to one of our viewers or listeners of House of Horns. We don't want to give it to someone else who it's not, especially since you guys are putting in the time to listen to us, to watch us on YouTube. We just want to, like I said, give back to you guys for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers. So once we do that, we want one of our subscribers to be the one, a list, House of Horns viewer or watch or listener to be the one that wins it, Gilbert.
Yeah, so definitely save that email there and rewatch all this confusing information I just gave you.
Yeah.
But again, I'm trying to find a way, like Victor said, to make it exclusive to the House of Horns supporters. But you got to get to 1,000 too. We will really love that. And when you get that email too, by the way, you want to talk Rams and send me any questions or thoughts or takeaways, feel free to send me your Rams related emails, because one thing I do miss about when I was working at the LA Daily News at the OC Register, I used to get emails all the time from my Rams readers saying, "Hey, either good things or bad things about the Rams." They just wanted to vent, and we would just go back and forth on the email. I don't get that as much at SI because I'm covering a bunch of teams now, so you don't get that one fan base. But yeah, you want to talk more Rams through the email, that's fine too. And you want to talk to Victor. Victor has an email too, Victor@compasonthebeat.com.
Yeah, you can find Bictor, same thing, Compas on the Beat. So if you want to send me some emails too, want to talk Rams, and ask me some questions, we'll get them on here on the show. So with that, we wanted to make sure that you guys got all this information. We won't spend as much time as we did today going forward, but we just want to make sure that you guys get this Puka Nacua jersey because we want you guys to when have something, hey, you guys are big fans of the Rams, and it's expensive out there to go to games and buy jerseys. So we want to help you guys with that. So with that, Gilbert, let's get to news and notes. We're gonna start off with the injury report. I'll keep it short. Sean McVay said that all these players were limited, but he expects them to play on Sunday. Outside linebacker Byron Young, safety Russ Yeast, wide receiver Ben Skoranek, linebacker Ernest Jones, and defensive tackle Laurel Murchison. So all those they're going to be limited, but they're all expected to play on Sunday. And then a piece that the Rams got in the Jalen Ramsey trade. Tight end Hunter Long is back at practice. Do you want to get to the news now, Gilbert?
Yeah, the kicker stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Rams cut Brett Maher, which you pointed to, Victor, after he missed field goals in that Steelers game. That definitely hurt that game. They could have used those points and made a rally, but again, it's more on the offense. But I digress. And then they signed. Hopefully, I'm gonna butcher it. So I'm just gonna say Lucas Habrasik
That's
from the
pretty good.
Browns. Oh, did I get it? Okay, from the
Yes.
Browns practice squad. Okay.
Yes.
But they're still working out kickers, Victor. You mentioned
Yes.
that this race is not over, but it seems like a inexperienced kicker might get the opportunity in Dallas. I don't know how I feel about that, but Victor, we'll get your takeaways first, and let us know more about Lucas.
Yeah, so Lucas is the reason he was able to get signed by the Rams is because, as McVay said during his press conference today, that former Rams kicker Matt Gay gave them a positive feedback what is it, Haversick? Even I had to look it up again. after the two spent time together with the Colts this year. So he also has a connection, Gilbert, with the assistant special teams coach Jeremy Springer from his time at the University of Arizona. So it sounds like there was a lot of connection here with this Rams team. And I thought something that was kind of interesting about the way they went about it. They wanted to have somebody in place for this game, especially since, as McVay said, they don't have to deal with the weather outside. It's going to be a game that's going to be played inside. And I think where this is going to be kind of a big factor going forward is how does he manage things when he's in field goal range? Does he let the kid kick the field goal like a 50-yarder? And I thought that was one of the things he talked about Brett Maher, that he kind of put it on himself like he always does, that he put Brett Maher in a bad situation, and part of it was that, hey, he was the one kicking 50-yard field goals at some of our viewers have commented. Yeah, like there were 50 plus yards, and that's because he has a big leg. But once you start missing extra points and field goals inside the 40, you can't have that, especially. And I think this was the end of the road after what happened against the Steelers.
Yeah, one of the most annoying things you could have on a football team is inconsistent kicker, and coaches are all different. They get frustrated very quickly, or they kind of wait it out, or in this case, I'm just curious because Lucas doesn't have experience kicking in an NFL game, and I just looked it up. He's actually from Riverside, so a local kid. Pretty cool story there. And then he had a tryout with the Colts last year, and he didn't win the job there. But like you mentioned, he has potential, a strong leg, and he's had a lot of good reviews. Came from Arizona, University of Arizona. So, like you mentioned, it's potential. Sometimes the coaches like to bet on the potential. And Vic, on Compas on the beat, I've been very critical of the 49ers betting on a potential with Jake Moody. He's a rookie kicker, and you're going to trust the kicker. Like Sean McVay said, you got to start somewhere, but when you're in it to win, big time games and go far, like the 49ers are risking a lot because they have a Super Bowl aspiration, and it's already biting them. The Rams, they're not on that level yet to be Super Bowl contenders, but you're still trying to get to the playoffs. You're trying to get to the race. Like imagine, Victor, if you stick it out with the kid, and it's like December football, or even right now, these games do matter at the end of the day. And he's going to Dallas, and he's supposed to a game-winning field goal. And you don't have the experience. Like, I get it. It's indoors, strong leg, but you can't practice pressure. You can't practice. When it's your time, you got all eyes are on you to kick a field goal, and you are inexperienced second-year kid trying to kick. So for me, that seems a little unsettling. It's kind of uneasy to count on a kicker like that. But I guess if you go back to what McVay said, you got to start somewhere. And maybe if you get the jitters out the way in Dallas, which is a hard thing to do when you're playing in Dallas, but I don't know. I don't like it because it's inexperienced. But again, you never know, because you saw what happened to Young Wei Koo with the Chargers. He goes to Atlanta, great kicker now. It happens all the time. So from the Raiders, Daniel Carlson with the Vikings goes to the Raiders. So it happens a lot, but you don't want to be the team that has to go through the growing pains, and that's why it's very concerning.
Yeah, I think the only difference is here is that he's coming from another team. He wasn't the team that the Rams were the team that drafted him, and they're the ones putting him out there. The same thing happened with Matt Gay. He came from the Buccaneers to the Rams,
True.
and then he did really well. So maybe according to McVay, special teams around the league are very tight. They make sure that they pump up their guys. The next guy who's coming up, who's doing really well, who's not, that not a lot of people know about. And so maybe you get that from someone, and from someone like Lucas Harrisick. So that'll be something to kind of keep an eye on, but it kind of tells you that they're already looking for plan B in case it doesn't work out, because they're trying out veteran kickers just in case. And you're right, Gilbert. Like, if I know you say you don't like to look at the schedule going, down deeper, but there are games, I think, against the Packers on the road that you know how that the environment is with the weather. And then same thing with the Ravens. I think they're at the Ravens as well. So those two places are cold weather places where you're gonna need a solid kicker and a veteran guy. And so it'll be interesting if he does the job here, and then what happens. Do they keep him for the rest of the season? We'll see. But especially when you're trying to, you know, you're fighting for a playoff spot down the road, it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say about this, they went the Maher route. He had experience, and it didn't work. So I get why they're trying to go now somebody without experience and give him a chance. But like when you brought up Matt Gay, I'm like, I know he had the most expensive guaranteed money for a kicker in history for a reason. He was very reliable with the Rams, but sometimes that's worth the money, right? Like you want to have a reliable kicker with experience. Like it's hard to find that sometimes, and I know the Rams are in this new era of not trying to they're trying to fix the salary cap, right? They don't want to have spend too much money, especially not on punters, long snappers, and kickers, right? But like, instead of getting Matt Gay's recommendation, why not have Matt Gay on your roster? But
Yeah.
obviously that's not gonna happen here. And I do like that the Rams are going with backup plans just in case this backfires. But at least they pulled the plug quickly on Maher and they're trying something new. But it's could have easily been avoided if they just stuck with Matt Gay.
No, you're right. I mean, I thought about that too, but like you don't want to pay. They got lucky with their punter. He's been really good. He's a rookie, but I think when it comes to kickers, it's hard. I think they also didn't expect to be really, in the thick of things in terms of being a good team this season. And
True.
so they were just gonna, ride with a rookie kicker at first, and then they picked up Brett Maher. And he was okay. He was a little shaky here and there, but I think the final straw was Sunday against the Steelers. And you never know. Maybe they find something in Lucas here, and he becomes, like I was looking at their kickers from the past, guys like Greg Sirline, Matt Gay. So they've had dudes with, um big legs. So we'll see what Lucas provides, and it'll be a big test for him. He's going to Big D, and on the road and in front of that environment. So we'll
But
see what happens. So let's move on. The other thing that we wanted to discuss and talk about was Baby McVay is here. Jordan John McVay. His middle name is, he was named after his grandfather. McVay talked about how big an influence his grandfather was to him, and so it made sense for them to give him the middle name. But he was right. The kid he's already being well coached, because he wasn't born during the a game, Gilbert.
yeah, so I'm guessing did it happen Tuesday? That's perfect
Yeah,
timing because then he
he
was
said
back in
Tuesday.
practice.
Yeah, yeah, he said Tuesday. He said he was born yesterday. As soon as I heard the news, I was like, everybody was like, "Oh wait, is he gonna have his news conference?" And I saw the news conference, and he said he was born on Tuesday.
That is the best timing ever, yeah, especially football season is on a Tuesday. That's a day off for most teams, and if you're playing on a regular Sunday, it's always a Tuesday day off. So shout out to the baby there, and it's cool that the middle name is John, for John McVay, who passed away a year ago. I think I saw that he passed away last October 31st.
First, yeah, and he was due. He said the baby McVay here, Jordan John McVay, was supposed to be born on the 31st as well.
Yeah, so it just worked out. Yeah, and yeah, and but you know what? That would have been perfect too because the 31st is actually on a Tuesday too. So the baby couldn't wait, and he said, you know what? Don't worry, I'll be here sooner, but still on a Tuesday and work it out. So that's a pretty cool story all around. And yeah, and but am I okay to go with the keywords here? Good kind of
Yes,
segue here.
yeah, let's go.
So for
Go ahead.
the Puka Nacua giveaway, Puka Nacua jersey giveaway, the keywords for the week is type in the comments, congrats, McVay family. I won't get on if you didn't do the comma, but congrats, McVay family. Those are the keywords for the week. And remember now, it's going to be only one entry for the comments under the video. But if you go and send me an email at what time somewhere here, I won't say it out loud. But send me an email with the time at when we say it, and I won't be too harsh on the exact seconds, but at the minute mark here, send me an email, and I'll make it 2 entries for you. Congrats, McVay family.
There we go. There you go, guys. Get on it. Make sure that you are um, that you have those keywords so you're eligible to win a Puka Nacua jersey. All right, Gilbert. Let's break this matchup between the Rams and the Cowboys. Let's start off with storylines. Um, I'll go ahead and let you start, Gilbert.
Yeah, let's go with the opposing team, the Dallas Cowboys. Like I mentioned, they beat the Chargers before the bye weekend. I thought it was a pretty good performance because before that they were struggling. They lost surprisingly to the Cardinals. They got beat down by the 49ers, and it just shows you how much of a long season it is because the 49ers have not won a game since they crushed the Cowboys. So they're back in the race for the NFC, and they're one of the top teams in the NFC. And I'll say this about the Cowboys offense: it wasn't like the best when they played the Chargers. I was there to watch that game in person at SoFi Stadium, but they finally got their big playmakers involved. Like Tony Pollard had a big game, CeeDee Lamb had a big game, and I know CeeDee Lamb didn't find the end zone, but Dak Prescott was feeding CeeDee Lamb, and when you feed CeeDee Lamb, that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Like, all right, where is this guy now? He's gonna go off today, so that gives you opportunities for Michael Gallup. Brandon Cooks got his first touchdown against the Chargers because Brandon Cooks has done nothing for the Cowboys until that game. So that just shows you CD is on a tear, and the opposing defense has to figure him out. That opens up for Jake Ferguson too, the tight end. So he finally got something there. I still have concerns about Mike McCarthy, as the coach, as a manager. Like, he doesn't use his timeouts pretty well. He makes a lot of weird decisions, before halftime, before the game's about to end. So when he's juggling the play calling and being the head coach, he kind of gets in trouble sometimes. But they really turned the corner in that game offensively. So before, they were leaning on their defense. Like, the defense was doing well, and then that defense lost Trevon Diggs. But you know they haven't been the same. But when I saw Michael Parsons and Stephon Gilmore close it out in SoFi Stadium, that tells you they still have a lot of talent. So they're still trying to figure it out. Maybe the Rams could catch them in that phase of figuring it out. But I was really impressed with the Cowboys before they went for the bye week.
Yeah, and for me with the Cowboys, it comes down to and I'm going to ask you this: is it Dak of why this offense is struggling, or is it Mike McCarthy's play calling? And before you answer, let me just kind of go over a couple of things in terms of what's happened with the Cowboys is on offense. We'll start with the offense, and then we'll get to the defense, Gilbert. But offensively, one of the things that they did during the offseason, you let go of Kellen Moore, right? You bring in Brian Schottenheimer to be the offensive coordinator. You have Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling. And then you install an offense, which is the West Coast offense, and you call it the Texas offense, whatever that means. And one of the big things so far has been the 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 Dak Prescott's interceptions are down, but he's only had 6 total touchdowns through 6 games. So, and they've been abysmal in the red zone, and that's happening around the league. We've talked about this, whether it's on regular Compas or on the Look Ahead show. Everybody's struggling in the red zone, so it's not just the Cowboys. But in terms of how this offense works, and you laid it out perfectly with all the names that you brought up, and I just think that you still can't find the identity with this team now that Mike McCarthy has decided to take over play calling. For you, what is it? Is it Dak? Is it the play calling? Why is this offense still stalled as of right now?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both because I did see Dak Prescott miss a couple of throws to Michael Gallup. Like, Michael Gallup was pretty open against the Chargers on that Monday Night Football game, and he missed them. But then, before that Chargers game, like, I was looking at the numbers, like, all across the board, the Cowboys offense was down from the Kellen Moore couple years. Whatever year you want to talk about Kellen Moore, it was down compared to Mike McCarthy's first 5 games or 6, whatever it is. And he was running the ball a lot more. And when you're running the ball out more, like Tony Pollard reminds me a little bit of Austin Eckler, a little bit of Travis Etienne. Like these are your skill players, finesse players. They're shifty, but they're not bruisers. And if you're trying to be a run heavy offense with Tony Pollard, that doesn't really seem right. Like Pollard's explosive. He's not going to be a Derrick Henry for you, and they don't have Zeke Elliott anymore. So I think it took Mike McCarthy a while to figure that out. Like, hey, how about you get CeeDee Lamb? He's your best player. Like, get him involved through the air before you want to establish a run like it's 2002. So I don't know if it's one game, Vic, or or he finally figured out like, okay, I got to go CD before I get Tony Pollard involved because he really made an emphasis to get him involved, and it probably took CD for him to criticize it or somehow throw some jabs through the media saying, hey, I need the ball more. And one of the things that stood out to me when CD Lamb spoke to the reporter, he was like, yeah, just give me the ball early and you see what happens out there. So everybody was happy, but again, it was one game. He could always go back to his stubborn ways. And I guess from my response here, Victor, I'm leaning more to Mike McCarthy being the problem. Like you can't be old school. I get it. When it comes to playoff time, you want to have a bruiser, and we see the Eagles. They're physical. You better be physical in the trenches and run the ball in the playoffs. But they're missing that. Maybe they go for Derrick Henry. I don't know, but they're missing some kind of physical element to run McCarthy's offense, so it does not work. So you know, maybe it could have been Mike McCarthy seeing Kellen Moore on the other side and saying, "I'm going to beat you," because there was a little bit of counter going on in the first half of that game, and McCarthy just took over. So, maybe for the Rams, they're hoping that it was a one-time thing, but I'm sure McCarthy's probably looking at the film in the bye week like, "Hey, I actually figured it out here. Let's keep doing that." So. If they're trying to be run heavy, they just don't have the personnel to do it. And then their offensive line's been pretty banged up too, Victor. That's another big issue.
Yeah.
They could be healthier this week too.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point is that their offensive line, like my biggest thing has been with a lot of the teams this year that I looked at, whether we've looked at these previews and the offensive line, every offensive line is different that we've seen so far that has played against the Rams this season. And part of the problem is with the Cowboys is they haven't had a healthy. They're always missing one of their guys. So if they're all playing, that's gonna spell big trouble for the Rams defensively. But I guess the one thing you can take from this in the positive for the Rams is the fact that that Mike McCarthy is going to keep you in this game because of his decisions and his decision making. And I know that Dak gets a lot of flack, but I don't think it's on him. I think a lot of it is because he plays for the Cowboys. There's a lot of eyes on this team, and I think it doesn't help when you have someone like Mike McCarthy who is stubborn, as you said, and it's just at least go at least for this game. I think Ram fans you can at least know that Mike McCarthy is going to keep you, as I said, it's going to keep you in this game. And then my next question to you in terms of the defense is, are they still dominant even without Trayvon Diggs for you? Because I've looked at this defense. You have Michael Parsons, you have Demarcus Lawrence, you have talent all over. They lost a couple of linebackers due to injuries, but this secondary is still really good even without Trayvon Diggs. So are they still dominant even though they got, dominated by both the 49ers and the Cardinals, two other NFC West teams?
I'll say they're very good, but they're not dominant. And before I get to that point, Victor, you're right. That secondary has been pretty good, even without Trevon Diggs. That shows you the type of depth that they have and how much that trade for Stephon Gilmore is paying off. Like it hasn't worked out too much for Brandon Cooks, but I thought it was a big gamble that the Cowboys just kind of went cheap and hey, let's give 6th-round picks to some veteran guys who might have a little bit of miles left, but let's just see what happens. They got it right with Gilmore. He's still doing well and balling out. But the biggest disappointment so far, Victor, I got to say, I expected a lot more from this defensive front. Like we were talking about, the Cowboys having like 4 or 5 good pass rushers, and it's just been the Micah Parsons show. Like, where's the Marcus Lawrence gone? Like, what happened to the breakout season of Sam Williams? And I know they got a few more other veteran guys there too, but like, it just feels like it's just been Micah Parsons on an island out there, and they haven't really got the help. So, you know, when they had Trevon Diggs, they had a lot of playmakers and they were winning with takeaways. They weren't winning with a bunch of pressure. It was a turnover battle. They were winning that, and that was Diggs' specialty. Like I get it that he's up and down as a coverage guy, but he's a playmaker. He's always around the ball, and they're missing that element. Now you need your defensive front to make those key games and those key moments in games and dominate the takeaways and all that. So when you're gonna triple team, double team Michael Parsons, you need somebody else to step up. I haven't seen it. Like when I saw them in person at SoFi, I'm like, where are the other guys? They're not stepping up. And eventually Michael Parsons had to do it himself and sack Herbert, and Gilmore got the interception. So when that front is going, that creates more opportunities for the secondary to get interceptions. So it's a little bit disappointing, these pass rushers, because I kept saying they have 5 or 6 guys, they have a deep rotation, and so far it's just been Michael Parsons to me.
Yeah, and it helps to have someone like Dan Quinn. I've been really impressed with how he's changed his scheme throughout the years. And now everybody expected him to run that cover three that everybody knew from the Seattle days, and then he goes to Atlanta, becomes a coach, and now he's flourishing again as a defensive coordinator with the Cowboys, to the point where I think they gave him a fat raise. There's nowhere he's going. Like, if even if I believe that even if they fire McCarthy here after the season, he's staying as defensive coordinator, because you don't want to let that guy go, because he's been really impressive with what he's done with this defense, especially what the talent that he's been able to produce. There's guys on there that well, I'll talk about, guys like Deron Bland. I'm sure not a lot of people know about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we'll talk more about it, but I just wanted to make sure that uh Dan Quinn got his flowers, because he's done a great job as a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Vic. Uh, just to give you numbers on the Cowboys defense. Like I'm looking at the sacks right now. They only have 16 sacks, the Cowboys, this year, and the first team is the Ravens with 29. So that's half. So you would think with a team with Michael Parsons and a bunch of very good pass rushers will have more than 16 sacks. So, but to your credit, Dan Quinn is still doing a fantastic job, because I just saw they're only allowing like 17 points per game. They're allowing like 177 passing yards. The Russian defense has been okay, but the sacks, man, that's been down. At first I was like, I got to double check my opinion here, and the numbers show like they're not even getting a lot of pressure there. So, but it's still very good defense, because Dan Quinn is doing a good job, and he's been a great DC. And I think I was reading stories that Dan Quinn pretty much said no to head coaching jobs because he felt this defense was so special that he wanted to be part of it. It hasn't really been the case. And now that I think about it, Victor, I think their second round draft pick which is an outside linebacker. I'm blanking on his name. He got hurt before the season, so that was part of the depth too there. So if Cowboys fans see this, they're going to probably tell me injuries are also an issue. They also lost Leighton Vander Esch too, the linebacker too. So that defensive front has injuries, but you still have a lot of your thing was depth, and they're not making it work right now.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I really liked about this Cowboys defense. I know you drafted them in fantasy. They were a team that I was really looking to get in fantasy, because they go too deep at every position. And when, especially when you're looking at defenses for your fantasy, you want even if there's injuries, you want a team that has depth, because they can replace. Like, you're starting to see with the Bills, they don't have great depth, and so now that all their key guys are going out, they look like a bottom tier defense now. And so this tells you how much depth this team actually has. I mean, they're not dominant, as they would have been with Trevon Diggs, but they're still pretty good because they have a really good depth. All
Yeah,
right, Gilbert. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, even like you when you think you have a special defense, you're gonna still probably get lit up. Like the Browns, they got crushed by Gardner Minshew, so it's hard to be a special defense in today's football and today's rules.
Yeah, you're right. Even the 49ers, we saw what
Yeah,
the Vikings did to that defense. So it's a week to week league, and then and some of these teams are gonna catch up to you, and that's just the way it is. And injury, and the fact that your body is just you're nobody's healthy this time of year, and so you're gonna have bad games here and there. But let's go ahead and get to our player matchups, Gilbert. Go ahead and start us off.
yeah. What did I have here? Well, yeah, we were just talking about the defense. To me, it's simple, and I know Sean McVay was really raving about Michael Parsons. Every opposing coach of Michael Parsons just loves to talk about him. I think Bill Belichick compared him to is it Lawrence Taylor, right? And he never does that when it comes to comparisons there. So that tells you about Michael Parsons' game, and he could easily wreck a game by himself. So it's gonna be a big challenge for this Ram offensive line. And I saw the comments for the post game show against the Steelers. People were really upset with Alaric Jackson. People gave up on Jackson, saying, "Yeah, just kind of get him by. It's not working anymore." So now you have to probably face Parsons, but if he's on the right side, it's going to be Rob Havenstein's issue there. But like I mentioned, like the other guys haven't done much, so if they're able to figure out a game plan for Michael Parsons, that'd be great for the Rams. But maybe it could be a game where the other guys finally do something, like DeMarcus Lawrence steps up. But we don't know, and it's going to be a huge challenge for this offensive line. And when you have great pass rushers, like we saw it a week ago, we said, watch out for T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt had that key interception there. So he's that type of player to change the momentum of games. But that tells you got to run the football a little more and use that core three of inside. Coleman Shelton, Steve Avila, and Kevin Dotson. There you go.
There you go.
Which has been a nice surprise there. You run the ball and go through the middle. Use this gap scheme and figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Joe Noble gets a shot at left tackle again, especially with
Hmm.
you know with Alaric struggling against the Steelers. We'll see. They can also we did see some 12 personnel that was run against the Steelers. Maybe we get a little bit more of that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be one of the big keys offensively for the Rams because they face that's one of the things about the Rams this season is they face the best defenses out there this season so far, and it's not even week 8. We're not even at the halfway point. You have teams like the Bengals. The Bengals are a top 10 defense. So are the 49ers. They might not, and I'll go back to the Bengals. They might not look like a top 10 defense, but they are, according to the numbers. And then now the Steelers, and now the Cowboys. So they're in for a challenge once again. And as you said, I mean, Sean McVay was, he's always going to praise the opposing guy. And I thought Gary Klein had a great question in terms of, hey, you have you we're always asking the opponents, how do you stop Aaron Donald? And I think you have the same situation here. How do you stop a Micah Parsons? And I think one of the things that I did see where they kind of struggle against the Arizona Cardinals, or the Cardinals ran right at him. And that might be something, to your point, Gilbert. You might want to, wherever he's at, you might want to run to him, but that's not always going to work. He's too good, as we saw. He couldn't get to the quarterback against the Chargers, and finally, next thing you knew, he was right on there, sacks Herbert in the fourth quarter. So that's a guy you have to keep an eye. I'm gonna go to the receivers here.
Real quick, Vic.
Yeah.
Let me get your thoughts. Maybe you know this better from watching the press conference. Did it sound like Hunter Long might be a strong chance to play this week, because that's what he's known for, right? Blocking.
Right, that's what I thought about, but I just don't know if he's going to be ready to go. I mean, the only thing I saw was that he was back at practice. Now, if he's ready to go, I would think that you need to use him, because you're not going to do it with Tyler Higbee and
The
what's
rookie.
his yeah, the rookie Davis, I think is his name. Um yeah, you can go into, thinking that you're going to be able to block someone like Micah Parsons, and of course they don't. You run an 11 personnel. If you run a little bit more of 12 personnel, maybe you can use him. You can use Hunter Long. So that'll be something that's a good point by you, because you're gonna need extra blocking against this defensive front of the Cowboys. And then I was just gonna say, Gilbert, I'll stay on the offensive side of the ball, and I say Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup going up against that Cowboys secondary. And as we talked about, there's no Trayvon Diggs, but guess what? You still have Deron Bland, who's allowed the lowest passer rating at 22.3 this season, and Stephon Gilmore. I mean, he's still making out plays. He's had the game-winning interception against the Chargers, as you pointed out. This defense is still really good, and one of the things I saw, they're also, I think, the third best secondary out there. They don't allow a lot of yards to receivers, and so this is going to be a great challenge for Puka and Pu- Cooper Cup. We saw a bad game from Cooper Cup against the Steelers. We know we're not going to see that again. It's rare when Cooper Cup has a bad game, and then Puka had the best game, of his career, and that's saying something when he's already had a bunch of catches. He has the record for most catches through 5 games, but that might have been his best game so far, Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm with you. That like again, like I have to keep track of a bunch of games. Every time I start looking at my phone at the Rams game, there goes Puka, sideline, 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 a contested catch, and I'm like, this guy's a stud. So I'm with you. That was probably, and that was fun for me to watch. So that was his best game. But it does lead me into keys to the game. By the way, good
All right,
segue for me.
no, go ahead, let's go.
Keys to the game for me is I know I was talking about getting the run game involved. That's a part of it, but I am just tired of this Rams offense going through a bunch of like slow phases and three and outs and then can't sustain drives. You need the running backs to help you out and spark it. Like you have Cooper Cup and Puka Nacua and a pretty good tutu out, well, and a good quarterback and Matt Stafford. Like, come on, get things going here. And you're gonna be playing a very good Cowboys, defense. And like I mentioned, the Cowboys offense is starting to pick it up. Like you can't be hanging around with 20 points, 17 points in this game on the road too. And yeah, you got 26 against Arizona. That's Arizona. Don't even try to take that as credit. So when's the last time they scored, that many points against, a quality opponent? So I forget maybe what they got 17 or 14 against the Eagles. That was the last time they had a pretty good, tough game. They got 17 last week. So you better be in the mid 20s to have a chance against the Cowboys. So when you air it out, like put on like McVay. I know you had the baby. Maybe you were stressed out, but now scheme it up. Get some great play designs and open up the passing game because you're not gonna have a chance playing ball control football. And if you play ball control, the Cowboys might do that better than you. And your sideline, you're gonna be in the sideline with Cooper Cup and Puka all day in Stafford. So it's also critical for Stafford to play clean football, no interceptions, no dumb mistakes. So I want to see the surgeon out there, the pocket passer, Stafford, just carving up this defense. But I get it, it's tough to do with the guys you mentioned in secondary. But you got to have some kind of downfield element to have a chance to win this game.
It's funny that you bring this up because we focus here on the Rams and you get to cover the rest of the league. And one of the things that I continue to hear about when it comes to this offense, and people are starting to believe in this team, they think they can make the playoffs even at 3-4, and so do we. We think that they're gonna have to go about 6-4 to make the playoffs. You can get to that 7 seed, but one of the things I continue to hear from people and see is the fact that this is a top 7 offense, Gilbert. Even with all their struggles on offense that we talk about, and we're very critical of Sean McVay. You're right. I mean, they need to score more points, which is rare. But as we talked about, offenses are down. This points are down. The red zone is bad this season all around the league, and yet the Rams are a top 7 team on offense. And you're right. They need he needs to be, and then that gets me to my thing is clock management, like game management for Sean McVay. I think has been really bad, especially like there's only been one complete game, Gilbert, and that was against the Seattle Seahawks in the first game. Outside of that, they've either been really good in one half or they've been really good for 3 quarters against the Steelers. I was I after the third quarter I was like, okay, we're finally gonna get 4 quarters of good football that we haven't seen since game one against Seattle in that Steelers game. And then they just disappeared in the fourth quarter. And I think part of it has been Sean McVay's game management. And I think he's been a big problem. If you look at games against the Bengals, the game against the Eagles, against the 49ers, and then against the Steelers. Um, he needs to do a better job of managing. I gave him a pass on the timeouts, Gilbert, but not a lot of people are because,
Mm.
as they pointed out, like, hey, he tends to do this. He tends to burn through his timeouts before the 2 minute warning, and this time it came back to bite him. And so I just want to see better game management in this game, especially when you're going up against Mike McCarthy, who is terrible at game management. So, you know, something's got to give here, Gilbert. It's either going to be Mike McCarthy's inability to game manage, or Sean McVay finally puts it together and is able to put a manage a good game for fourth quarters.
Yeah, you know what I thought was pretty telling about McVay is like when they asked him about the spot of the ball and kind of getting the short end of the stick when it came to the officials. I get that sometimes coaches don't want to get fined, so they go the high road. But you could tell McVay was more high road because he knew the offense just stunk. They had a bunch of opportunities to not be in that position, and that's what dwelled on him. And I'm like, okay, at least McVay knows here that the offense is not doing well. And I kind of gave him a pass too with the timeouts because he had to burn a couple to stop the clock to get the ball back, and you want to go down and score and tie the game with enough time. He did burn one a little early, so that cost him there. Obviously, you don't burn that one early, you have in your back pocket, and he burned two on that drive, that last one for the Steelers. So, I'm not too mad at it, but you do want to have at least all three for those final 3 minutes when it's a one score game. But he's probably thinking, well, you know what? It's a close game. We got a couple opportunities here in the fourth quarter to make something happen, and they didn't. And I'm sure that ate at McVay during the presser, a day or two, or not too long because the baby arrived, so you can't really dwell on it. But I'll say this about the offense, Vic. They're good, but they're not very good. They're not great either. And
Yeah.
I kind of blame the all 22 people because they just brag about the designs that McVay has. Like, oh, look at this amazing
Thank
design.
you.
This great
Thank you for
scheme
saying
here.
that, Gilbert, because I was trying to make that point on regular Compas this week. I didn't get to, but yes, I've been saying this about this, these what does I call it? Offensive
They're
uh
geniuses or gurus.
yeah, yes.
And they love to like brag and they have like 50,000 followers on Twitter and like, oh, look at this great design here, and people run with that and they eat it, and it's like, well, they're still scoring 17, 14 points per game. They can't even score in either one half or the second half, and it's like, yeah, Cooper Cup, Puka Nacua, you're not really getting these guys involved, and Stafford hasn't been really great either. And it's like, but you see the flashes, and I think that's the most frustrating part. I'm guessing for Rams fans seeing like it's supposed to be a crappy year, but it's not. There's so much potential and upside, and it's very, very exciting. But at the same time, there's a lot of growing pains, and it's kind of like, which team do you want to be? The old Rams where you're really good, or the one that's rebuilding? You're kind of caught in the middle, and people are like really like frustrated about it. This is like a weird feeling. Like, who are you really, Rams? And that's what we see all the time. Like even on the defensive side, like people don't really watch the Rams like as closely as we do, and they discredit the defense without because they have nobody on that side. It's like, well, besides Aaron Donald, it's like, but then like the scheme is working. What Raheem is doing, Raheem Morris is doing, it's working. Look at the numbers, and but you see in the betting lines or the total lines, like, oh, they're gonna suck defensively, but they really haven't. But on offense, it's just a bunch of potential, and they're not doing anything with it. And that's where you see McVay frustrated week after week after week. Like, you could have done something here, or done something there, and why are you not scoring for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes? And it's been frustrating watching that part, but at the same time, it's pretty exciting because you have so many new faces, and it's a new era, but you're still in that middle part of the phase.
Yeah, and then part of the problem, Gilbert, is the fact that you have about four really good players, and then the rest you're really young. And I think once you get down to it, it's not about just getting out coach, it's about getting out talented. Like, if you don't have the horses to be able to compete with some of these teams, it's gonna show. Like, there's only so much you can coach up these players. And look, Sean McVay has done a great job this season. Like, I had this expectation this season that they were going to make the playoffs because of his coaching. But I think the guy that deserves a lot of the credit is Raheem Morris, as you brought it up, because I think, as much as people this season, it's starting to annoy me. As much as credit as they give these offensive of coaches, there's not a lot given to defensive coordinators around the league, and that's why I pointed out guys like Dan Quinn. Raheem Morris. There's a lot of guys out there that are coaching their butts off, and it's like, well, it's the offense. That's why the red zone is bad, and you look the other way instead of giving credit to some of these defensive coordinators. We have not seen this terrible of a red zone offense since 2014, and a lot of these defensive coordinators deserve more love. And because this is why I hate the fact that they don't get head coaching jobs. We're always looking for the next offensive guru, instead of looking for defensive guys. And I just I know we're going here on a little rant, but that's just the reality of it, Gilbert.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think these are both things that they're bothering us. It's like, if you look at it, the Rams defense has been better, and the offense has just been potential but not results. So yeah, we had to get that rant going and let people know that yeah, it's great on film, but it's not winning ball games right now.
And I'll tell you this: those four guys that shout out to Jordan Rodriguez, and I brought it up about her story about the play callers, which is Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and Sean McVay. All four of those coaches scored exactly 17 points on their team this on in week 7. So I
They
mean,
all lost.
they all lost, guys. So give some credit to the defensive guys. But let's get to our betting spotlight, Gilbert. The Rams are 6.5 point underdogs, and the over under is 45.5. I'll tell you this, Gilbert. I'll keep it easy. I'm still rolling with the under here until the Rams don't cover that. I'm not gonna pick against it.
Man, I I like the over just because I like what I saw from the Cowboys. And you might not like my response after the next question, but I think the Cowboys got something. Again, like you're right, Mike McCarthy could ruin it. And maybe he was in the heat of the moment against Kellen Moore and he was actually calling some great plays and getting CeeDee Lamb involved. But I think they might have a nice showing, and it's not like it's 50 points, it's 45. It could be like a, you know, whatever, 27-20 game and still get it. So I'm gonna go over for this one, even though I've been on a streak with the under here.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know, Gilbert. You should try to write it until it doesn't. But I totally understand it.
It's like
I've
I
been
saw like a stat from McCaffrey. Like you would have ride the anytime touchdown score from McCaffrey, you would have had like $500,000 right now.
There you
So
go. See, that's why. Especially, and look, he ended up playing all the snaps. Like I have him in fantasy, and I didn't really think he was gonna do much. I was like, look, I'm still gonna leave him out there just because he's my number one pick, and you ride with your number one picks, and I ended up winning my matchup because of him. So
you got
there
me
we go.
worried now, but I won't change.
Yeah, I just for me, I'm the kind of person that if I have a streak going, I'm just gonna let it ride until it fizzles out. Then I'll start changing it. But that gets us to our game prediction. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I actually don't have no idea where you're going, so I'm curious, but I'll be the negative person here and get it out the way. It sucks for the Rams catching another team on a bye week, especially one being at home and you're the one traveling. I expect a pretty good game for the Cowboys, and I've been up and down with the Cowboys, but maybe because I saw them against the Chargers. But give me the Cowboys to drop 30 points on the Rams, and
Oh wow.
it's going to be 30-20. Cowboys win by 10. It just seems like a bad setup. Bye week, going on the road, and I think the Rams are plus 6.5. I just feel like it's gonna be like a 10-point game, 7-point game. I don't like what I see from the offense, and until they prove to me they can score more than 24 points against a non-Arizona team. They haven't scored more than that since the Colts game, Victor. That's been over a month now. So something's not working here, and maybe that's my trend here. Is I'm gonna keep going with the streak here. I just think the Cowboys are going to score points on the Rams here, and it's going to be a 10-point game. And I could definitely be wrong. I know people really like taking the plus 6.5 for the Rams, but when they got plus 5 or 7 against the Eagles, it didn't do anything. They lost to a team that should have beaten the Steelers a week ago. So I'm going to be the negative person, and I feel like the Cowboys are going to have a nice day against the Rams.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. That's all fair, Gilbert. One of the things that I have noticed with these four guys, the coaches, is if they get ahead, like McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur, and all those guys, that's when their offense really works. they're able to run the ball. They're able to run a lot of play action, and it works perfectly. And I think that needs to be the key here for them to win. Now, I don't think they win here just because the Cowboys are really good at home. If you look, they destroyed the Jets at home. The Jets have been pretty good outside of that Cowboys game defensively, and they handed them, their lunch there. Uh, and it was at AT&T Stadium, and so it's hard for me to pick the Rams here. I don't know how they do it here, but I do have the Rams covering here. I think it'll be a tight, close game just because of what I said with Mike McCarthy. He's gonna keep you in this game. So I think that I'm going with the Cowboys. I'm saying I'm going to say 24-20 over the Rams. Uh, they get back into it. They have a chance to take the lead, but unfortunately something bad happens at the end there and the Cowboys win and McCarthy escapes once again.
Yeah, at least we agree on the Cowboys. We'll see how it goes. Low scoring, high scoring, that's something different there. But yeah, we're not too thrilled to see what we've seen from the Rams. And I get the Arizona game is sandwiched in between, but when you have a pretty clunky performance against the Eagles and also the Steelers, it just feels like, okay, you're gonna face another good team, and you haven't proven to be in a good team. Besides maybe the Colts, and the Colts are kind of on a different level. They're not on the Cowboys level.
Yeah, and the schedule will get easier. There's going to be more winnable games. It's just as we talked about. You have a team coming off a bye. You're going on the road. You have a rookie kicker. I mean, there's a lot of things working against you here. But if someone can pull the upset, it's the Rams. They've been in all their games. They've
Yeah,
lost by
beat
one
Seattle.
score game. Yeah, they beat Seattle, and so maybe they can go on the road and pull up an upset here. It's just hard for us to give you. We're not gonna lie to you guys and tell you that, hey, they're gonna somehow pull this off, because we're gonna give you the truth. We're not gonna try to you know sell you on things that aren't there. But if they pull up this upset, we'll be the first one to tell you guys, hey, we were wrong about this. And
I've been wrong a lot lately too.
yes, and then the way the season has gone, Gilbert, all around the league this season, like especially the
Yeah,
last 2 or 3 weeks, there's upsets everywhere. So can the Rams pull up the upset? Yes, of course. And
yeah.
we
Uh,
saw the Cardinals hand it to the Cowboys too. So
I
yeah,
think the average Vic for the SI picks last week was like each person got either six or less picks right, and that tells you how terrible the picks were for a lot of people last week. So a lot of
eh,
ups occur. I know we're trying to give words of encouragement here, but one more negative thing, Vic, I don't like this at all for the Rams because they don't have Kyron Williams, and I really thought Kyron Williams was really missed last week. So that's one more thing right there.
yeah, and you weren't the only one at SI, Gilbert. Like everywhere. I think I was able to hit. If you checked out our looking ahead, I hit about two bets and one prop. But everybody else, it was just a bad week. Like, nobody saw the 49ers losing to the Vikings. If you did, I'm sorry, but you probably just because you hate the 49ers or
Yeah,
something, pick the Vikings. But there it's been that kind. I mean, nobody saw the Ravens blowing out the Lions. I'm
mm,
sorry, like
yeah. Patriots
stuff
beating
like,
the Bills.
yeah. So I know a lot of people, and I know we got to go, but a lot of people lost their survivor pick this week because
Yeah.
they had the Bills over the Patriots. So
Oh man.
yeah, that
Or,
lost a
or,
lot of survivor picks out there.
or
So
Vikings 49ers too, probably. So
yeah. So there you go. That's our show, guys. I would just want to say before we go, Gilbert, thank you. Make sure you're locked into that. You got that keyword so you can be eligible to win that Puka Nacua jersey. Give us the size of the jersey you want and what color you want on there. Make sure you let me see. Make sure you email Gilbert. I'm gonna post the email right here
yeah,
again.
we'll
There you
save
go.
the information on the jersey until you actually win. I don't want to get a bunch of jersey size for people who might not win.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So make sure you have it picked out there. You know what
yeah,
you want, but if when you pull in your entry, make sure you put that all the information,
yeah.
and the keyword and all that.
Keyword
But
and the time for two entries. If you want to just get one entry, put the keyword on the comments here.
There you go, guys. And so just want to say thank you to all the listeners and viewers of House of Horns. We really appreciate you guys checking us out, especially if you've made it almost an hour and 5 minutes into this recording. Uh Gilbert, but I have to make sure that people know where they can find you and what you have coming up. So, can you let us know where they can find you and what you have working at Sports Illustrated?
Yeah, you know what? I'll actually do a little tease for one of my stories while the cats get fed here. I don't know if you hear the noise in the
Yes.
background, the machine there. But yeah, I think on Thursday, yeah, you might, yeah, by the time you guys see it, it might be Thursday. I'm doing so for each team in the NFC before the trade deadline, I'm gonna say either this team should trade for this player or this team should trade away this player. And I actually have the Rams on their buyers, so check out the story SI to see which player I say
Ooh,
they should go get. Little teaser there, and yeah, to check out all my stories. When you get to that story and you see my byline, click on it, and all the stories will appear. And definitely check out our looking ahead, video that we do every Thursday evening after Thursday night football. I try to say that I'm the host, but Victor does a great job with the info and the stats and all that. So it's a very good show to look ahead. But I think we're just gonna call it looking ahead because I can't find a good name. And yeah, you
we're-
could either follow our picks or go the other way to get some bragging rights, or you could say it now. You could bet now. It's not frowned upon anymore. So check that out. Looking ahead, and check out my stories at si.com.
there you go, guys. Make sure you are locked in. As I said, if you betted against me 2 weeks ago, you probably made some money. But if you were paying attention to my bets this past week, you probably made some money. So there you go. Gilbert, that's all I have for you. Go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, let's go on to week 8. I wonder how many people from LA are going to that game. If you are, get in the comments. Let me know if you're going to that game in Dallas. That's probably one of the ones you want to have in your bucket list because it's such a massive place. But then again, SoFi is kind of similar, so maybe you don't care about going to yeah, Arlington, Texas. I've been to that stadium one time. It was a nice place to see. But
I know,
yeah,
I know, I know. We didn't get into it, Gilbert, but it'll be interesting to see if there's a lot of Cowboy fans because the Rangers are in the World Series. So
oh,
that'll be something to keep an eye on if there is a lot of empty seats there.
Okay. And maybe they're taken up by LA Rams fans. But let us know in the comments. And again, you got my email. Feel free to send me a Rams related email too as well. But we got to go. It's a long, lengthy show. But on that note, ya nos vamos. Pues vámonos.